The boy who cried wolf. Once upon a time, in a village, there was a boy named Peter. He used to take care of his sheep. One day, he got bored and thought it would be fun to trick the villagers by shouting wolf. Wolf. Even though there was no wolf. The villagers ran to rescue the sheep but found out that there was no wolf. The next day, Peter tried the same trick and shouted wolf. Wolf. Again. The villagers came running to help, but they found out it was just another joke. On the third day, a real wolf attacked Peter's sheep. This time, when Peter cried out, "Wolf! Wolf!" the villagers thought it was just another false alarm and didn't come to help him. The wolf ended up eating all the sheep, and Peter learned his lesson that it was wrong to lie and deceive people. The moral of the story is that if you always lie, no one will believe you even when you are telling the truth. The ugly duckling. Once upon a time, there was a mother duck who was waiting for her eggs to hatch. When they finally did, she was surprised to see one of the ducklings looked very different from the others. The duckling was gray, big, and not as cute as the others. The mother duck tried to love and care for the duckling, but the other animals made fun of him and called him ugly. One day, the ugly duckling decided to run away from home because he felt so sad and alone. He traveled through the forest and met other animals, but they also made fun of him because of his looks. He felt more miserable than ever before. Eventually, the seasons changed and the ugly duckling began to grow into a beautiful swan. The other animals were amazed by his transformation and praised him for his beauty. The swan realized that he had been a swan all along, but he just didn't know it. He felt happy and accepted for the first time in his life. From that day on, the swan lived a happy life, surrounded by other beautiful swans. He realized that he was special and unique in his own way, and he didn't have to be like everyone else to be loved and accepted. The tortoise and the hare. Once upon a time, there was a hare who was very proud of his speed. He would often boast about how fast he could run, and how he could easily beat anyone in a race. One day, the hare saw a tortoise moving slowly and thought it would be funny to challenge him to a race. The tortoise, being a polite and humble creature, accepted the challenge. The race began, and the hare quickly took the lead, confident that he would win. He ran so fast that he soon became tired and decided to take a nap under a tree. The tortoise, being slow and steady, continued to move forward without stopping. When the hare woke up, he saw the tortoise far ahead and ran as fast as he could to catch up. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not catch the tortoise. Finally, the hare saw the tortoise cross the finish line and realized that he had lost the race. He felt ashamed of his arrogance and apologized to the tortoise for his behavior. From that day on, the hare learned to respect others and their abilities, and the tortoise became his good friend. The moral of the story is that slow and steady wins the race. It's important to be humble and respect others, even if they may seem weaker or slower than us. Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, there was a poor boy named Jack who lived with his mother. They were so poor that they had nothing to eat except for a cow. But one day, Jack traded the cow for a handful of magic beans from a mysterious old man. When Jack's mother found out, she was furious and threw the beans out the window. The next morning, Jack woke up to find a huge beanstalk had grown all the way up to the sky. Curious and brave, Jack climbed the beanstalk to see where it led. When he reached the top, he found a huge castle, which belonged to a giant. Jack saw the giant's wife and asked for food. She kindly gave him some, but Jack's curiosity got the best of him and he snatched a bag of gold coins. But the giant soon discovered that someone had taken his treasure and went after Jack. Jack quickly climbed down the beanstalk and chopped it down with an axe, causing the giant to fall to his death. The Lion and the Mouse. Once upon a time, in a jungle, a lion was sleeping. Suddenly, a mouse ran over the lion's nose and woke him up. The lion was very angry and caught the mouse with his paw. The mouse pleaded with the lion and begged him to spare his life. The lion, feeling generous, decided to let the mouse go. One day, the lion got trapped in a hunter's net. He roared for help, but no one came to his rescue. The mouse heard the lion's roar and ran to help him. The mouse nibbled on the net and freed the lion. The lion was amazed that such a tiny creature could save his life. He realized that even the smallest creatures can be helpful. From that day on, the lion and the mouse became good friends and promised to help each other whenever they needed it. And so, they lived happily ever after. The end. The Ant and the Grasshopper. Once upon a time, there was an ant and a grasshopper who were friends. The ant was very hardworking and spent all day gathering food for the winter. The grasshopper, on the other hand, loved to play and enjoy life, and did not bother preparing for the winter. As the days went by and winter approached, the ant continued to work hard and store food, while the grasshopper continued to play and enjoy himself. The grasshopper made fun of the ant for working so hard and not enjoying life. But soon, winter arrived, and the cold winds and snow made it impossible for the grasshopper to find any food. He became very hungry and realized that he should have prepared for the winter like the ant did. The grasshopper went to the ant's house and begged for some food. The ant was kind enough to share his food with the grasshopper, but also reminded him that he should have prepared for the winter instead of wasting his time. From that day on, the grasshopper learned the value of hard work and started preparing for the winter like the ant did. The Gingerbread Man. Once upon a time, there was an old woman who lived in a small village. She decided to bake a gingerbread man, so she mixed flour, sugar, butter, and ginger, and then shaped the dough into a man. She put him in the oven to bake, but when she opened the door to check on him, the gingerbread man suddenly jumped out of the oven and ran away. The old woman chased after him, but she couldn't catch him. As the gingerbread man ran, he passed by a group of farm animals who also tried to catch him. First, he passed a cow who said, "Stop, gingerbread man. I want to eat you." But the gingerbread man replied, "Run, run, as fast as you can. You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man." Next, he passed a horse who also tried to catch him. But the gingerbread man repeated his chant and kept running. Finally, he passed a sly fox who said, "Stop, gingerbread man. I can help you cross the river." The gingerbread man was hesitant at first, but the fox convinced him and they set off together. As they crossed the river, the gingerbread man felt the water rising and realized that the fox had tricked him. The fox was about to eat him when the gingerbread man had an idea. He said, "If you let me stand on your nose, I can sing you a song." The fox agreed, and as the gingerbread man started singing, the fox closed his eyes and opened his mouth. The gingerbread man used this opportunity to jump off the fox's nose and run away as fast as he could. The fox tried to catch him, but the gingerbread man was too fast. He ran all the way back to the old woman's house, where he lived happily ever after. The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Once upon a time, there was a wolf who had a cunning plan. He decided to disguise himself as a sheep and mix in with a flock of sheep grazing in a field. He thought that this way, he could easily prey on the unsuspecting sheep. So, the wolf found a sheepskin and wrapped it around himself to disguise himself as a sheep. Then, he walked to the field where the sheep were grazing. The wolf easily mingled with the flock and enjoyed being among the sheep. He would often tell them stories about how dangerous wolves were and how they should be careful all the time. One day, a shepherd came to the field to check on his sheep. He saw the wolf disguised as a sheep and thought that he was one of the flock. He even praised him for his excellent sheepskin. The wolf was overjoyed to hear this and thought that his plan was working. However, as the evening drew closer, the shepherd began to round up his flock and return them to the pen. The wolf was so excited to be among the sheep that he forgot to keep up his disguise. As he was being herded to the pen, he started to howl like a wolf. The shepherd immediately realized that he had been deceived and that the wolf had been among his sheep all this time. The wolf was caught and punished for his deceitful ways. The moral of the story is that appearances can be deceiving, and one should always be careful of those who try to deceive them. The Goose that Laid the Golden Eggs. Once upon a time, there was a farmer who had a goose that laid a golden egg every day. The farmer was very happy with the goose and the golden egg. He thought if he could get all the golden eggs at once, he could become rich quickly. One day, the farmer decided to kill the goose to get all the golden eggs. He cut open the goose, but to his surprise, he found nothing inside. The goose was just like any other ordinary goose. The farmer soon realized his mistake and understood that his greed had cost him dearly. He lost the goose that laid the golden eggs and had no way of getting them back. From that day on, he regretted his decision and wished he had been happy with what he had. Moral of the story: greed can lead to loss, and it's important to be content with what you have. The Princess and the Pea. Once upon a time, there was a prince who wanted to marry a princess. He searched far and wide but could not find a real princess. One stormy night, a young lady, drenched and claiming to be a princess, appeared at the prince's castle seeking shelter. The queen was skeptical about her claim and decided to put her to the test. She placed a pea at the bottom of the bed and piled 20 mattresses and 20 feather beds on top of it. The next morning, the queen asked the young lady how she had slept, and the princess replied that she had slept very poorly because something hard had bruised her all night long. The queen was overjoyed, as only a true princess could have such delicate sensitivity. The prince was thrilled that he had finally found a real princess, and they got married. And so, the pea that was placed under the 20 mattresses became famous as the Princess and the Pea. The end.